Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Kid Daniels here with Jakari Jackson, who's behind the camera. We just got out of the Alamo Draft House, and we just saw the latest movie straight out of Compton about the legendary hip-hop group N.W.A. Now, overall, I definitely recommend the movie. It was way better than I thought it would be. You know how a lot of movies are kind of hyped up beforehand? This was no exception. But this movie almost lived up to the hype. And even if you're not a big fan of hip-hop, I definitely still recommend it just so you could see a glimpse of popular culture as well as the history of the late 80s and early 90s at the time. Now, there was one scene in the movie that I thought was very interesting, was the musicians were at a press conference after they were arrested in Detroit after a riot. And I think it was Ice Cube who said that their art, meaning their music, reflected their reality. Now, the reality at the time was, and it's still true today, is that the CIA controls the international drug trade. And they do that to mainly so they can fund their black op operations, you know, the kind of off-the-book things, you know, where they overthrow governments and who knows what else they do. And for them to create this demand for drugs, back in the 80s, they used these various intermediaries, you know, such as music executives, to push hip-hop to the forefront above rock and roll and to glamorize the drug trade and drugs to ensure that there was a demand for drugs from the American inner youth, to ensure that the CIA would still keep getting money off the drugs they were importing through the country. And it was back in 1996 that a journalist by the name of Gary Webb, who was writing for the San Jose Mercury News, he revealed that a former drug kingpin in the 80s, Freeway Rick Ross, one of his cocaine connections was actually tied to the CIA, and that created a huge scandal. Now, Rick Ross was on the Alex Jones show back in November, and he said this.
I'm letting you know right now that the establishment is using hip-hop to prime these kids for a life that's gonna send them to prison, just like they did with me. See, when I was coming up, there was Superfly, Tequila Sunrise, Scarface, all these movies to make you think that you could start with nothing and then you could have the whole world at the palm of your hand. Only that there was no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It was a set of handcuffs and shackles. And you wanna know why the CIA symbol is behind me? Because they were the guys behind me when I was selling drugs. And now they're behind hip hop and rock and roll. This prison, hip-hop connection, they're behind that too.
If it was good for them to sell drugs, then it should have been good for me to sell drugs. The money from the drugs went to buy guns for the country.
Even if you don't read my book, warn your kids, let them know. But I advise you that this book is worth reading, definitely for your kids. Even if you don't read it, get it for your kids, get it for your loved ones. Let them see what the drug culture is all about.
So to sum it all up, the drugs that you saw in the movie and the drug lifestyle and the decadence of the inner city, that was all created by the CIA to ensure that there was still a demand for drugs and to bolster the CIA's profits. Now, Jakari, what did you think about the movie?
Thank you, Kit. Now, if I could take one quote away from this movie, it was when the guys were all together at a press conference and somebody brought up the point that we have AK-47s from Russia, none of us have a passport. We have drugs coming in from South America, none of us have a passport. It reminded me of that line in Boys of the Hood where Lawrence Fishburne is talking about we don't have any planes, we don't have any ships. How does this cocaine get here? And it goes on to the point that Kit was bringing about, that even these guys rap about this stuff, they're not the ones who actually bring this stuff into the country. And there's another aspect, the free speech aspect that Ice Cube touches on in the movie, and I think he is still a vocal free speech proponent to this day, that these guys have the right to go out and say whatever they want to say, and talking about their situations, their involvement with the police. Now, if there is a villain in this movie besides Eazy-E's manager, the police are definitely the villain. But these guys are talking about what they see. That was their experience growing up in Compton, that the police would harass them and do other types of things. That was their experience. I can tell you, people say I'm anti-police. I'm not anti-police. I'm anti-police brutality. I'm anti-police tear gassing me and then lying to my face like I wasn't there when it happened. So I can definitely understand that aspect of it. And I don't want these guys to be silenced for that. But people always try to say, try to put blame on these guys. Eminem had a great quote. He said, next time you assault a dude, tell the judge it was my fault and I'll get sued. And that's kind of how I feel about these N.W.A. guys, or anybody in the entertainment industry for that matter. Yes, they put this stuff out there, but it's ultimately your decision if you go, rob a liquor store or whatever. So with that in mind, I can kind of relate to that, because people say you're pushing this anti-police rhetoric. When I show a video of police tear gassing people or shooting innocent bystanders with rubber bullets, that's not me being anti-police. That's me exposing the actions that happened that particular day. So with that being said, I think it's a good movie overall. Like Kit said, I think it's a much better movie than I thought it was going to be. So if you're interested in that period, that late 80s, early 90s period in Los Angeles, the things that are going on, the Rodney King riots and all that, it touches on that stuff as well. And it's also a good cautionary tale for people who are interested in the entertainment industry as a whole. You can see the trials and tribulations these guys went through, the bad managers, the life on the road. People, half the people in the movie get, babies along the way, or they get illnesses and all these other type of things, and they have to deal with that. So I'd recommend it for that. So you can find more reports on Infowars.com, and don't forget to subscribe to our new channel, Resistance News.
The globalist social engineers are not just targeting us with propaganda. They are manipulating our genetics. We are being targeted at every level by estrogen mimickers that lower our testosterone and other hormones and natural compounds that the body needs. After consulting top doctors, nutritionists, pharmacists, and others, we have developed what I believe is the ultimate non-GMO organic super male vitality formula, sourced from powerful organic herbs and then concentrated for maximum potency. Super Male Vitality was developed to activate your body's own natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals. Super Male Vitality by Infowars Life is so powerful that I only take half the recommended dose. For a limited time, we are offering 15% off Super Male Vitality at InfoWarsLife.com to introduce you to this powerful supplement. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today to secure your Super Male Vitality. InfoWarsLife.com.